Shut up and sit down.
Welcome everybody to the DwnFwdPUNChcast, episode 14. I'm your host Jason Saris. With me is David Reed.
I'm here.
Chris Saris. He doesn't talk. And joining us via the magic of Google Hangouts is Brian Bestvina, who is the founder of LifeLongGamers.com. You may also know him as YouTube personality, That Fish Tank Guy. Brian, how you doing?
First off, thanks a lot for having me on the show. I really like listening to you guys on a weekly basis. I appreciate, your opinions and your comments about the industry. So I'm really happy that you invited me, and thanks for having me on.
Great. Well, thanks for being with us today. So today we're going to talk about E3 and our reactions to the things that happened. We're going to break this up into a few different episodes because it's a lot to kind of digest for one particular episode. So this episode is going to be focusing on EA's presentation. I assume that everybody kind of saw at least part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. It was like the one that I basically just like skimmed.
You were least interested in EA,
yeah.
Right?
Skimmed is still aware.
Yeah. I mean, I know what's going on. Something about Madden, FIFA being the only game in the world.
There you go. You just summarized the entire
There
thing
we go.
in like.
Thanks for watching. Catch us on our next episode.
Well, Brian, you're our guest, so let me start with you. What did you feel about EA's actual presentation? Not so much the content, but what did you feel about how they presented it?
Well, for me, I thought EA was probably the most old school of the press conferences. And when I say old school, I mean they had some corny bits. They had some cringeworthy moments with the guys in the suits coming out and missing the high five with each other. And they had the one YouTube guy, I think he was on Prank versus Prank, and he, like, his teleprompter cut out and he kind of froze. And the press conference was a little bit cringeworthy in that sense, but thought for the most part, once they kind of got past some of those gimmicks per se, the material they presented was pretty good. So I don't really have a lot of complaints about it.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting with the drum line. I don't know that I really cared for that. I mean, I guess it's fine, but it definitely seemed like it was an older style type of conference.
It's very college-y football that I thought maybe for a minute they were going to go that route and be like, guess what, everyone, it's back.
Well, they have the college teams now in Madden apparently. Like,
oh, do they? No.
So if you didn't see Madden, they announced Madden with a new story mode, and the story mode you begin as a college student. It looks very similar to what they do in NBA 2K17, 16 when A for season.
Joke though, kind of.
No, well, I mean it's okay. It's fine. But now it seems like EA is on this directive of like all of our franchise must have a story mode because
they got to reinvent it.
Yeah, and
you
FIFA did it last
keep
time.
Making football games.
I think if a developer's trying to do something different and new, you can't really knock them for it.
That's true.
Madden, it used to be the big hitter. Now it's like second to NBA, which is really weird how like the popularity shift changed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Madden's still big. I mean, football's a huge sport, but like, just nobody seems to care about Madden as much anymore.
It still sells like crazy every year.
They also have a person's name on there who hasn't actually been in football for 10 years or more.
That's true. John Madden, you mean?
Yeah.
But
it'd be like if they called it like Muggsy Bogues 2K18. You're like,
Muggsy Bogues.
Like, why? He hasn't played in 20 years.
I would buy a Muggsy Bogues basketball game.
Don't worry, he's probably the gold edition next year.
Probably. That dude, because you probably don't know, he was super small. Like he
I
was
don't
like
even know what sport we were talking about anymore. I'm like Muggsy Bogues. I'm like that sounds like it would be like a comedian.
He was in
from,
Space
the
Jam,
1920s.
if you ever
He's
saw
actually
Space
a
Jam.
villain from the 30s with a curly mustache.
big cigar, top
Actually,
hat,
that or
fedora,
or he carries a Tommy gun. That actually sounds more relevant.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so Madden.
Madden, they added a story mode to it, and it looks like it's fairly interesting. They showed NBA Live as well, and I don't know why EA still is trying with this NBA Live, because again, it looks like total garbage. Like when you look at these character models, they all look very plasticky. They move so weird and like staggered robotic. They need to just throw in the towel. They gave it up for a number of years. They tried it again, I think, last year or the year before.
Yeah. It was bad.
It's done.
It's been done.
It's been done. They just won't let it die.
No, because EA has to corner the market on all sports games. JK, they have no baseball, and they can't make a basketball game to save their lives.
Yeah.
But they have FIFA, the world sport.
I guess.
I mean,
You know, they have FIFA, which I've never played a FIFA game. It's not really my thing, but it does well.
yeah, huge.
And Madden does well, and Madden's a good game if you like football games. So, you know, we had those, which we kind of all knew was coming, right? I think we talked about
yeah.
our prediction thing, that we
Yeah,
knew we were going to
obviously
get
for
those.
sports, that's basically just like, let's get these out of the way.
Yeah.
So let's get to, David, I know one of your predictions in our last episode was that Battlefield was not going to make an appearance. It did, but not in the way that we thought it was going to.
I was right in what I said. There wasn't going to be a sequel. I knew that.
Right, yeah.
What I thought was interesting is that they really went through and like did this whole giant showcase on an expansion pack, which is basically just DLC.
Right.
Right? It's not like we get expansions anymore. They cost like $40 like they used to. It's like, hey, here's more DLC for all you season pass owners or for people that buy it a la carte.
It's nice to see they haven't been doing like DLC all along the way, a bunch of microtransactions and things like that.
They didn't give a price on this, though, right?
No. And
I mean, it seems like there's a substantial amount of content to it, so maybe it is more of an expansion.
I mean, it could be worth more. I mean, I'm trying to think of like Division had like 3 portions, and I want to say they were differently priced. So I guess they could potentially, like, if they say, hey, like, this is like a real big addition to the game, maybe we'll charge 30 for it instead of 15 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they spent a lot of time. And they did like the lame thing that everyone does now. They're like, esports. Let's talk about and interview people about esports. I'm like, just get a job, kids. Like, be a fireman or something.
I don't know.
Quit trying to be an esports pro.
If I could make a living off playing video games, I would absolutely do it.
Well, I would too. The problem is I've been playing for longer than any of these kids have been alive, and I'm still bad.
Well, that's
Which just
the problem.
doesn't make
That's
sense.
part of it, you know.
I hate it.
That's the
It makes
problem.
me-
I think you need to be like between the prime age of like 12 to 12 and a half to
Yeah,
really be
like, these kids retire when they're 26. Like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're just out of your prime.
good for them though. I mean, seriously.
In a way, yeah. Battlefield, I don't think I really got to see much of.
So they're adding a bunch of stuff. They have this whole what was that called? The whole something of the Tsar.
It's called like the Tsar.
Well, that's how you spell Tsar.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it? Is it though, or is it
In the name of the
Tsar?
Tsar
Yeah.
is what. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the name of the Tsar, so there's new maps. They have new progressions, new weapons, all that kind of stuff. There's new classes. They have like a whole like female unit that they have in there now.
Okay.
The maps are including night maps.
There's a few night maps already in Battlefield.
Is there? I
Yeah.
haven't played Battlefield 1 at all.
Or at least there's one level that's like super dark because there's trees above you, so you can't really.
They
see
were kind of
anything,
making a
but
big deal about it being a night map now. So maybe it was just it's
It is
a dark
kind of a
map,
really
but-
cool idea.
You know, for me, night maps they add a certain level of, you know, strategy and a different way to play the game. But oftentimes developers come out and they really push like the nighttime setting, a major difference and a major, you know, switch up to the gameplay. And I don't think it's that much. It doesn't affect everything that much as far as in terms of what they say it will do. But I guess it's cool.
So I don't
It is
can't really
cool.
remember like a game. No, there's one level where you play like at sunset actually, but not really a night map. So that's kind of neat actually. I guess I can't really say I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, it looks great. All the stuff that's on there looks.
I'm not gonna lie, I just
fantastic.
tuned out the minute they said Battlefield because I was like, all right.
But you
it's
like
an ex-
Battlefield.
I really do. The sad thing is that I never have the urge to play it, like ever. And I sit there and every single day I'm like, man, Battlefield 1 is so good. I'm never gonna play this game. I don't know why. It's like the first time that's ever happened to me. But I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another round.
Yeah, maybe when the expansion comes out, you'll be into it again.
That
Who
would
knows?
mean I would have to buy it though.
Oh, you would have to buy the expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
mean,
true.
they have like a $50 season pass, but again, if they're not releasing another Battlefield this year, then $50 is probably fairly reasonable, I guess, for a ton of content. If you
And
like
the amount of people that are still playing that game, I
Yeah.
feel like, I mean, we talked about this before, like they need to double down on it because ride the wave out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, still has a huge player base. It's doing well. Critics received it well. People are buying it still. Absolutely, just keep running with it. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it was a smart move.
Yeah, and like I don't know, like for to EA's benefit, like why would you do like in the sense like what Call of Duty does is like, hey, remember when you bought this game in January right after you got your Christmas money? Guess what? 9 months later, we're replacing that game and giving you another one, and you're like, well, I'm not done with it yet though. Like it doesn't matter. All your friends are playing that one now. Go play.
Although,
that.
to be fair, you ever play a Call of Duty's campaign, you're done with it in like
Not
3
even the
hours.
campaign so much. It's more like the multiplayer. Like if the game's good, at least. Now it's one thing to say if like the game is bad, then you're like, can't wait for the next one. But if it's like great, then why would you want to? But you don't really have much of a choice. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, look, and this is a concept, and this is why I'm so glad that they didn't announce a sequel to Battlefield, is that, like, if you and I were playing Battlefield and Battlefield 2 came out, or Battlefield World War II, whatever they want to call it, we would probably at least throw around the idea of getting it, right? I mean, we'd be all excited, cool trailer, blah, blah, blah. And then we might never play Battlefield 1 ever again because now we have the new one.
Sure.
But this way, like, it's like, hey, for all of you people that already own Battlefield 1, all you got to do is spend a few bucks and get some expansions and you'll be caught up with everyone else.
Yeah, and it still gives people who don't have the game a reason to purchase that game. You know what I mean? Because if you go to a Battlefield 1, 2...
whatever it's going to be called.
Sure. Yeah. Then people are like, well, I was thinking about picking up Battlefield 1, but because this other one's out on the horizon soon, I might as well just wait a little bit longer, just get that one. Then instead of having them buy 2 products, they're only buying 1. So I thought this was a really smart move.
I agree.
I think it was good for the gamer, the consumer, and it was good for the company. This is one of those moves that I thought was a win-win. So kudos to EA for that, I guess.
Yes, I agree with you.
Did you see anything for Need for Speed?
A little bit. It kind of reminded me of Burnout. Those old
great games.
Burnout Takedown or whatever. Where it's more about like just smashing the crap out of each other, which is fine. That's I liked those Burnout games.
I was really excited to see that they made a more coherent type of story to Need for Speed because, a lot of times Need for Speed, they kind of very loosely string things together. Like, it's like, oh, you show up and then you get a text and it says, hey, you got to race this guy. And you don't really know why, but you have to, and you're going to keep doing it. And then it's like, now this guy wants to race you.
It's because you were born with speed in your blood.
Exactly. Yeah.
Son, I got a secret to share with you. You got speed in your heritage. You got to go race. make the family proud. All right, Dad. Whatever. Okay.
It's just so loosely based.
Yeah, or
it's just ridiculous.
Like, or you just like had a hard life. Just got out of prison. Your best friend buys you a brand new Maserati.
Yeah.
Get out on the road and race people. Yeah. Break the law. And you're like, okay.
You know how you hated being in prison for all those years? Why don't you go break some laws?
Sounds great. I'm clean, man. I'm clean.
That's what you need.
Doesn't matter. Here's $50. I dare you. I double dog dare you. It's like, dude, Need for Speed Double Dog Dare You edition. Can't wait.
I would love that. I'd have to buy anything that was Double Dog Dare You edition.
Somebody should do that.
I thought this looked really good though because it seems like now, Need for Speed, you're traditionally just like, at best, you're just kind of a middle of the road person, right? You're not necessarily a good guy because you're doing illegal stuff.
Yes.
And you're not really a bad guy because there's worse people than you. But this, even though it's still kind of that situation, you felt like you had an objective, like you're trying to stop the house, whatever this entity is, and you're chasing down these cars, and you have an objective because you're trying to do some kind of positive, which I thought was a nice change of pace, where now you feel like you're actually a good guy in some way, like an anti-hero still, but still. And the visuals look amazing. The smashes, like those were pretty gorgeous.
Well, Need for Speed needs something because the last 2 games they've released have been kind of total trash.
Yeah.
The Need for Speed self-titled game and then Rivals was not good.
Yeah.
So it's like, please, thank you for finally releasing something that looks interesting again. Keep your brand alive, But a lot of things just need reinvented, especially series that are familiar, It just happens. So good for them.
So now one of the games that they announced that I was really excited about, A Way Out. Did you see this?
I did.
Did you see this?
I did.
What were your thoughts on A Way Out?
I don't know, Chris. What were your thoughts on A Way Out?
It's something that looks original in the sense that, if I'm not mistaken, it's like split screen only. Like, this is not a game you can play by yourself. You need to have a partner. And I think that opens up the possibility to some really unique gameplay. So I think that is very interesting. And then it's like a prison break kind of scenario, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. I thought it was an interesting looking idea, and it's something that I would like to play. And it's you team up with somebody and kind of go through it together like that, and not having the option of having to do it by yourself. I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Brian, were you interested in A Way Out at all?
Well, I know that game is being developed by the same company that did Brothers, and I actually never played Brothers myself. However, I do really like the fact that companies are trying to come back to the couch co-op.
But in addition to just being a co-op game again, it seemed like these characters, when they first started, I was like, all right, these characters seem kind of cliche and
Dude's
dumb.
nose
right?
is real big in that game.
It was
right?
Sean Penn, right? That
it
guy
must
was
be.
Sean Penn, right?
Yeah, it must be.
It clearly was Sean Penn. So at first I'm like, all right, these guys seem really cliche, and what is this going to be? And by the end of the trailer, I already started to feel some sort of interest in them as like emotional characters. And from what I understand, after I did some research on the game afterward, it's really supposed to be, they're trying to drive this idea of like getting really invested in who they are as people during the game. So this way you really feel more connected to your characters, and it matters when you're playing with somebody because you're invested in them and yourself and all these other things. So I think that looks really, really good.
I think if they do the game the right way, if you have to communicate a lot and work together as a team, and it's not so much one person supporting the other, if you're kind of doing things together, almost similar to like a Portal 2 kind of deal, I think it would be a really cool game.
I do too. I was watching some of the gameplay, and it was just neat because like it's not like you're like one guy's behind bars and the other guy's in front of the bars, and like he's got to get the key from the security guard walking down the hall, and you're just standing there the whole time. It's like each one of you always has something to do. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool too.
And for replay value, I mean, like they're showing the trailer that one guy's in a cutscene and the other guy's doing stuff.
Yeah.
So like there are things happening independent of each other.
Yes.
So once you play through the game, you have a reason to go through the game a whole other time.
Yeah.
A lot of games will bring you back in for, like, all right, let me get in there and I'll jump to this level and I'll just complete this to see what happens, this scenario. This, I could see myself wanting to actually go through the whole game beginning to end again from the other perspective. And if I understand correctly, it seems like some of those could branch out. So you could have lots of independent stories, maybe not a whole story, but you can have independent events that take place. So you might be able to play this game 4 or 5 times and have a different experience.
One thing I found really funny was I actually learned more about this game from the panels after the show rather than watching it during the show, right? So I must have just forgot to watch the end of the EA conference or something, but the panels were talking about it, and like somebody at the IGN panel or whatever was talking to one of the guys, and he's like, hey, do me a favor, when you see the developer on the show floor tomorrow, like ask him how long the game is. And the guy's like, no, starts pounding the table. He gets really mad, and he's like, I'm not even joking. He's like, you cannot ask him that. He's like, he will get so angry at you. He's like, somebody already asked the guy that, and he's like, the guy like flipped out on him. He's like, it doesn't matter how long the game is as long as it's a rewarding experience or something. So now everyone's worried the game's gonna be like 2 hours long or something. God. So it's hilarious, but oh my god, it was so funny. It was like, okay, well, I think that's great.
The guy, and I can't remember his name, but the guy who made this game, whatever, that he seemed just like a really funny character in general, and not funny because he's telling jokes, but he's like Italian or French or whatever he is, and he's up there on stage and he's talking. He's like, I know I seem arrogant, but it's just because the game is so good, man. It's just so good. I just can't help it. And he's just like, you could tell this is his baby, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's nice to watch that.
Yeah.
And I can't help but just like, all right, dude, I will buy your game. I'll buy it. You just, settle down a little bit. Don't hurt yourself. So I can see him getting that passionate over it.
Oh yeah. He gets apparently really angry if you ask him the wrong question. So I thought that was really cool, and like that's kind of nice. Like I always like it when and this has happened actually a few times this E3 is when like a major publisher or developer is like finds some small little project that seems super cool and unique, and they're just like, we're going to showcase you. Much like No Man's Sky was a big deal, and like this No Way Out game.
We don't talk about that.
I'm sorry, that game doesn't exist. But like that was a thing, and. They've done it to other developers in the past. That was cool. Particularly, we'll get to it later, but the Ubisoft one was a really good moment with them. And so, yeah, I think that's neat. But the other thing that I think that's cool, too, is that if this game does well and it's marketed correctly and people like it, that this, again, you get to see, like, another kind of iteration of, like, where gaming can go. Like, sometimes we think, we get shooters, we get sports games, we have racing games, what else is there? And now it's like, well, there's games you can play couch co-op that are super involved in storyline-wise, and like maybe everyone else can take advantage of that.
This could open up the door,
Much like the walking simulator became a game, right? Like you had like games like Dear Esther, and everyone's gone to the Rapture, and
Firewatch.
Firewatch was another one, so stuff like that. And those like, it all took was one success for other people to be like, I can tell a story that you just walk around in a cool environment too. The Telltale games were another one. You had Life is Strange, which kind of came off of that.
Yeah.
And that was another one of those
Until
things.
Dawn, which is similar. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's neat. So we may be seeing another type of game, right? And I'd say the most recent kind of new experience that people have been getting are these whole games like Friday the 13th or the Dead by Daylight kind of game where you have one person and 5 other people, but they're trying to escape. And there's a lot of tension. Yeah, and they're really they're very tension-filled games where it's you're always at risk to die, but it feels different because it's a human controlling the other character, not the enemy, the AI. So I like when they invent something new. It gives me hope for more games similar to it, or at least for them to expound upon it.
Absolutely. I think that's really exciting, and that's an excellent point because I would love to see... I think anytime we get more variety in the gaming world, it's a win for gamers, right? Because, the more we have to choose from, the more we can just experience. So I do hope this does well, even if it's not perfect.
If for nothing else, to open that door for more co-op centric games, games that are built for the co-op experience. It's exciting.
The last 4 years there'll be let's say once this game comes out, there'll be literally 2 co-op games. It'll be Overcooked and Way Out. That's it.
Overcooked's fun.
It is a good game.
All right, so we're gonna get into this more in depth in the Xbox in our episode for Xbox's conference, but they did give a sneak peek of Anthem during the EA conference, which was our first footage of Scorpio anything. Right,
I need
first
a brown bag to breathe in. Seriously, Anthem. Whew.
Yeah, I mean,
that game took me for a ride.
So, without trying to be redundant, because again, we're going to get into this more in depth later. Just your initial thoughts of when you first saw that little snippet of Anthem, what was going through your head?
Destiny Killer.
Destiny Killer? Your thought?
I hope it comes out as good as it looks. That's the only thought about Anthem that I kind of have right now. It looks dope. I just want it to come out and actually be as good. Because The Division for me is kind of an example of one of those games where I saw the trailer and I was just like, oh my god.
I was sold.
My god. Exactly.
Yep.
I was telling all my friends I'm getting this. We're all getting this. We're going to play this.
Yep.
By the time the game actually came out, I did not care anymore at all.
I felt the same way about The Crew. Those were both Ubisoft games that they did such a great job of making you feel like you need to play this.
Right.
And then the games were both really kind of mediocre.
Right. So I'm hoping that, and like you said, that's a different company. It's Anthem is not being done by Ubisoft, but I hope we don't get into a situation like that. I want to get super hyped about Anthem, and then when it comes out, to be like, oh, okay.
Oh, the hype is real.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm hoping. Looks really cool.
Just like that little moment where, in one of the trailers I saw, he was kind of walking up to, this, dinosaur-looking thing, and he was, shooting at it, and this thing's like, I ain't having none of that. And he's like, all right, well, I'm out of here then. He jumps off a cliff, and he's like, you're like, well, what are you doing? And then he's like, jetpack Q, and he just starts flying. And I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
This game looks incredible.
Yeah, it does. It's
really awesome,
when I saw the snippet at EA's conference, my first thought was, oh my god, they made a Titanfall mixed with Horizon Zero Dawn. It looked like just an Iron Man. You take Iron Man and mix those things together, and I'm just like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
But I need to see more. I could not wait for the Xbox conference specifically for Anthem.
Yes.
And thank God we got a ton of content from it. They gave us a big preview, and we'll get into that in a future episode. But,
well, one of the other things too about Anthem that I heard is that the game is supposedly linear expansive or there's a term they use. I don't remember what it was. But it's basically saying it's an open world, but it's super linear still. So it's not like you can just go anywhere. It's kind of always putting you on the right path. But it's almost like the left and rights are more open than most games,
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of a cool concept. I was like, all right, so I can go further than normal in most games, but I still have a clear goal. And I thought that was neat because I'm not going to lie, dude. I love open world games, but at the same time, I'm kind of I just need you to stop making them. They are taking so much of my time.
My problem with open world games is that I don't think every game needs to be open world.
No, it doesn't.
And I feel like a lot of people are kind of
it's become a standard now. It's something they do just to say that they did it.
And Naughty Dog, I think, is an excellent example of games that are not done open world, but they are I mean, those are masterpiece games. And if you were to put those into an open world, you're going to lose a lot of the presentation that they give you in those games.
Sure.
Because, they want to have the camera placed in a certain way, or have the music cue at a certain time, or have specific animations for specific events.
Well, it's pacing, right? Because when you're in an open world, you have the ability to kind of branch off of the main path.
Sure.
So you lose some of that pacing in the way. And if the story of a game really focuses on the pacing, where you're kind of going through it in the right time, in the right sequence, whatever, like it's so much harder to tell. Yes, it's so much harder to tell a story if you can just do whatever, experience whatever. Some games do it beautifully. Breath of the Wild is a huge open world, and that's done in a great way. And other games are open world, and to your point, it's just like, this doesn't need to be this way. It probably would be a clearer story if it was more linear.
Yeah.
So that's not to say that I don't like open world games, because I do, and there are games that
you heard it here first. He doesn't like open world games.
That's right. Certainly didn't love The Witcher 3. I did actually, but my point is that just like every game doesn't have to be open world. So if Anthem is not going to be like true open world, I don't care. Let's see what it is going to be. I'm very interested.
Yeah.
You made a point too about how like the Naughty Dog games kind of do what they do in such a well done way, and they're actually very unique in that sense. And this is essentially off our EA topic, but I just want to make a quick point so we can come back to it. Is that the Spider-Man trailer was very Uncharted style in a sense.
Yeah.
And I only bring that up because of the way you described Uncharted. You know what I mean? So that
You're
was
not the first person to say that too. I've heard a lot of people
right.
make that
It
reference.
felt like, yes, it felt like you still had a lot of freedom, but it felt like there were just those moments that were like perfectly crafted to show you some cool thing in like an event or a storyline aspect. Right. And I thought that was really well done. Like it seemingly blended with the action of the game, and you didn't even know it was happening. Almost like you could have put the controller down for the whole thing and it would just go,
Yeah.
But I still like how you have control. So that is a really neat. It's a well done feature that not a ton of games do. So
we'll come back to that. We'll come back to the Spider-Man thing because
we'll be that in the Sony episode. So the kind of the cleanup game for EA's conference, they spent a lot of time on it, was Battlefront 2, which after the train wreck, or at least semi train wreck that was Battlefront 1, it's probably with good reason that they spent a lot of time trying to present this game in a way that says like, yep, it's worth coming back, it's worth trying again.
I feel like Battlefront 1 was like the first blueprint for the Death Star, and it obviously failed because it was just had so many glaring flaws. And then they were just like, all right, we got this, we're gonna build a second one.
Yeah, we're just going to put a
one's
chute
gonna be
over
fine,
the
though.
exhaust.
Like, this one will never blow up. Let's just see what happens.
But what were your thoughts on the game? Did you like what you saw?
I did like what I saw, and I really want Battlefront 2 to be a redemption story, meaning, like, them taking all the feedback from the first one and being like, okay, this is what you guys want, we're going to give it to you. And they're already making a lot of promises. All the maps and weapons and additional DLC being free, I think is big. Having a campaign, which was lacking in the first one, I think that's pretty big. It looks great. It looks like I want it, and I'm just so worried that it's still EA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me personally, the first Battlefront wasn't really all that fun. I played the beta. I played it when it was free for a week or two when it first came out. And it was one of those games where the gameplay got repetitive very quickly because all the guns were the same. The objective types were basically the same in terms of how they played out. So every match kind of felt very similar. And I know that a lot of people were upset about the season passes and the DLC and how expensive it was. And the overall opinion I felt was by the time they got to the end of the season passes, people thought like, okay, now we have a full game. We have one complete game now. And they paid over $100 for it.
I don't know.
It always felt like the kids' version of Battlefield to me, where it was like, here's Battlefield, this very sophisticated game. You can get a ton of vehicles and pick all these different classes. And it's not that Battlefront doesn't do that kind of thing. It just does it in almost in a cheesy way. Like Battlefield, they always did this thing where like you always had like a base for one side and a base on the other, and there were always just vehicles there. And they've seemingly gotten rid of that now in future Battlefields, where like now in Battlefield 1, for example, you're looking at the map, choosing where you want to spawn, and then it's like, oh, there's a little circle with a plane in it, and I can click on that, and now I'm in a plane. Whereas Battlefront was like, find the magic coin, and once everyone knows where the magic coin is, everyone turns into Darth Vader or starts sitting there and waiting to turn into Darth Vader and then no one's actually completing the mission, and they're just like goofing off, right? That I hated that about Battlefront. Like, I think Battlefront was an incredible game. Like, if you're a Star Wars fan, there is no better Star Wars game out there. Unfortunately, I just think it was really poorly implemented. Yeah. And I'm really hoping that they kind of fix it and make it feel like the adult version of Battlefield. You know what I mean? Like, it's the best way I can describe it.
I think that at least with Battlefront 2, it seems like they're trying to do it the right way. All the DLC is free. All the extra heroes and things like that are going to be free throughout the life of the title. I think that means there's going to be a ton of microtransactions, to pad that money that they're losing.
Well, when they were showing the trailer, I didn't play the first Battlefront. I thought about buying it, and then when I started hearing the things about it, I was like, all right, I'm going to kind of stay away from this. But when I was watching the trailer for Battlefront 2, I was impressed on how chaotic it looks while you're in battle, which a lot of games don't do well. Like, even when you have games where there's a lot of people involved, there's a lot of shooting, it's chaotic in the sense there's a lot of things going on, but it doesn't feel real, right? It just feels like a bunch of people running around like lunatics with their heads, like chickens with their heads cut off. This looked like war, Star Wars, but Star Wars war. There was a lot going on, and it didn't just seem like madness. It seemed like if this was a real thing, it seemed like it felt right, which I was pretty impressed with.
You know what's interesting too? I just thought of something. If you were to show that scene in like a real world setting, right? Like a war scene, like Normandy, right? Well, Normandy was in the daytime for the most part, so you see like boats coming up and like people rushing out and grenades are going off, like sand and dirt and smoke, and you see people falling down and stuff, and that's your kind of your visual representation of what war looks like, right? But what's cool about Star Wars is that it looks chaotic because you have all these cool lasers being shot all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So not only are people moving and people are falling down and grenades are going off, but now you have this visual representation of literally every bullet in the game flying all over the place. And I think that is incredibly cool.
Yeah.
It's so unique to Star Wars in its sense.
Yeah.
So,
that's a good point. Yeah, you can see all those things where you couldn't see them with a bullet. Yeah.
Plus, it covers 40 years of Star Wars, so no matter what you if you're that guy that hates the original trilogy, hates the new movies, but you just love those three in between, Phantom Menace, greatest movie of all time. That's this guy.
That's you?
No, I hate this movie.
You hate the original trilogy.
No.
I was like, how am I going to kick Dave off the show? Because
no,
I can't be in the same room with him.
But you know what I mean. But if you are that guy, you get that, and then there's me who is like, yeah, I like Star Wars. It's been fun. I've seen them all, and that's cool. But man, I really love this new Star Wars. I love it. So when I got to see Rey, I was like, yes, this is incredible. Kylo Ren, cool.
Yep, they have Finn in there. They have all the characters. I thought I give props to EA too, because again, this is one where he was on stage and the guy's like, and I can't remember EA's CEO name now, but he's sitting there.
Don Matrick.
Yeah. So he's sitting there and he's talking about, he's like, we heard the feedback. We know that it didn't deliver last time. I mean, he seemed like he was really taking onus of that. And they were making the promises to say, you wanted this, we're giving you this, here it is. You wanted this, here's a proof that it's there. So God bless them, because it seems like they really want to make this right. And I think that they know that they have to, because I tell you what, if Battlefront 2 goes poorly, nobody's buying Battlefront 3.
Yeah, they will. Not Star Wars. People will buy Star Wars anything.
I use that in the hyperbolic sense, but somebody will still buy it. The diehard Star Wars fans, obviously, but not it's not really going to sell.
You are kind of I would play the original one, and you're like, oh, this isn't good. I heard it was bad, and then you're like, well, but Star Wars Battlefront 2 looks sweet. And then if that game's bad, you're just kind of like, all right, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm tapping out. I'm not, fool me once, fool me twice.
I totally agree with you, because I'm in that boat too. Star Wars is fine for me, but I would never go anywhere out of my way to purchase anything Star Wars related, ever, except if one of those lightsabers are sweet, big $140, $150 ones. Yeah. Those are amazing.
I very much like Star Wars, and I won't buy one of them.
Right. So
what do you do with it? He was like, all right, I got it now. Okay,
but
cool.
If you hit things with it, it makes the clash noise.
I guess.
Yeah, it's really sweet, and I'm just saying.
I have 3 of them.
Birthday's coming up.
All right. So any final thoughts on EA before we close out the episode?
EA's come they've been, I don't know, they're like a weird company now. When I think of EA, I used to think of a lot of things, and now I just kind of think of sports. Like, I feel like that's all EA does anymore. And then I almost forgot that EA partnered with BioWare, like, forever.
Yeah.
And that's when Anthem came out. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. BioWare's a thing with EA. I forgot about that. And then Need for Speed, it's been like 2 years. So I was like, hey, EA's back in the game. Like, we got other cool things coming out. And, like, it's not just Madden and soccer.
I'm almost the exact opposite. I often forget that they do the sports things. I mean, obviously FIFA and Madden are there, but I always think of EA with all these other things now because they're just involved in so much. But they don't always have I think of them as being involved with things, but I don't always think of them in a good way being involved with them. It's like, oh, EA.
Well, it used to be the company to hate, remember? And
right. Then Activision kind of
became the company to hate, which is good for them because, in a way, I never really wanted to hate EA. There were a lot of great games they made, but they used to also have like way more licenses. Like they used to expand a lot of things, and like now they're just very eccentric in a sense. They're almost like a small-time developer. It's weird, even though they make like AAA titles,
Yeah.
But like, how could you forget they made sports games like EA Sports? It's in the game.
Because you don't even hear those anymore.
No,
I mean,
you don't.
I
It's just
the
sad.
last
They should
time
bring that back.
I agree. Yeah. Any other final thoughts on EA?
Anthem, be good. Battlefront, be good. And EA, we're cool.
All right, well, that was the DwnFwdPUNChcast, episode 14, the E3 EA conference. There's a lot of E's in there.
That's the E4.
The E4. Yeah. But anyways, thanks for watching. Like this video, comment, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Sergio Armani, or if you would like to follow the group, you can do so at DwnFwdPunch. That's at DwnFwdPunch. David, I'll get back to you. I forget that you were always last. Topher, where can everybody follow you?
Follow me on Twitter at Cobradactyl.
All right, and Brian, you want to give everybody a way to follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Bestvina, or you can look up my newest YouTube channel, The Fish Tank Guy, on YouTube.
And back to you, David.
Me?
Yep. How is the group going to stay in touch with you?
DwnFwdPunch on Twitter.
That's not your handle.
It kind of is. I changed my name. Isn't that how it works?
So you have your handle.
I don't actually know how this works.
It's like having a handle and a screen name. So your handle is like how people find you, and then your screen name is what you present your name as.
I have the app on my phone.
So
are you teaching Dave Twitter on a
live?
I am. Well, not live podcast, but maybe we can do. Maybe you guys can do this like off camera.
Just follow at DwnFwdPunch. Look at our follows
and look for at.
And
Dave
he's like
Punch.
He's like at Dave B. Reed, maybe.
That actually might be it because it's probably my professional handle.
Yeah.
So that when I'm looking for a job, somebody will hire me because it looks more professional than Dave
Who's
Ford.
They're gonna hire you based on your Twitter handle?
No, they're gonna hire me based on my skill in podcasting.
Although I am very
charisma and charm.
I told you before, and I'll tell you again. I give you kudos for the at Dave Ford Punch. The screen name Dave Ford Punch, I thought was brilliant.
Thanks, man.
So my hat's off.
I don't know what I'll do with it. It just sits there.
That's okay.
But I've got a few friends.
Twitter's a weird thing. Like you have to kind of get into it, not get it, leave it alone, come back to it, hate it, leave it alone, come back to it, think you get it, realize you don't, leave it, come back to it, and then you finally get it, and then everything's good.
My biggest problem with Twitter is that every time I'm like typing out some like really cool, awesome thing, I realize that for the last 5 minutes I haven't been typing anything because it was like over 4 minutes ago, like at 148 characters. This is why Twitter is stupid.
Yeah.
Because it's good for people that don't talk a lot. That's not me.
Anyways, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for our other EA episodes that'll be coming at you shortly. Have a good one, guys. Till next time, keep on gaming.